Good evening. We know what this is. We know what it looks like. And if you've seen it before, if you've seen the movie Prometheus, it was really scary. I really couldn't watch that movie and that black goo dripping. And this thing on the X-Files. I tried to watch the X-Files before, but they were too scary too, you all. They really were. Reminds me of Tar. And this is story time with Gina. And this is that black goo. It's in his eyes. I don't know if I would have watched it. I really don't. But I'll tell you what. Let me do this. And let me come over here. And look at this. Look at this, the mutated engineer right here. You can see him. And it's got this black stuff going all through his veins. He kind of looks like he's got, I don't know, like maybe reptilian-like skin, but not really. It is kind of scary, you all. Hello there, Muddy Girl. That's right. Muddy Girl, honey. It's just you and Gina, honey. That's right, because that's how it happens. It's 8:31. Black goo. That's right. The black goo. And it's kind of creepy. I don't know what this AVP. Oh, it's alien lore, predator merchandise and videos. So you can see this in black goo pathogen mutation effects on the life forms right here. Yeah. The mysterious black goo pathogen, first seen in Prometheus, reacts in an unpredictable, that's kind of scary, unpredictable and violent ways with different organisms, producing wild mutations and new creatures, a catastrophic mutating event. Hello, Apple Brooks, honey. Hello, Justice. Hello, Jim, Rap Cat. I like that, Rap Cat. Yeah. Mutations and new creatures. Here is an overview of these different mutations, including a mutated predator and even a mutated android. I'm going to make it to where you all can see it really well. How many people watched Prometheus? I might have tried to watch it once. I don't know if I made it all the way through the movie. All I know is it was scary. He was like giant maybe. Something like that. Hello, Ashland, honey. Yeah. Let's go back to that. Right there. The black goo pathogen had different effects on the engineers based on what was shown in the Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Oh my gosh, you all. I don't even know if I could watch the Alien and Covenant. It sounds so scary. Hello there, Linda, honey. Yeah. Oh my goodness. In the first movie, now this black goo, this is not a joke. There's lots of rumors about the black goo, and it's been found in the tombs, ancient tombs, and why was it in there? What, is it living? Does it have the ability to bring forth life? It might. I don't know. In the first movie, the sacrificial engineer drank a drop a pathogen and quickly began to dissolve. So a drop of pathogen. So the drop of pathogen would be like what's on this fingertip over here. One drop of pathogen. I guess that's what it means. You know, it looked like oil on his finger is what it looked like. But it's a pathogen. What is a pathogen? Why would a pathogen be black like that, really? Let's think of what is a pathogen. If you don't know what a pathogen is, my keyboard's messed up. What happened to my thing? Let's look up the definition of a pathogen. Okay, GEN, we got it. The definition of a pathogen. We're going to do it, you all. A pathogen is an agent that causes disease, especially a virus, bacterium, or fungus. Any microorganism which causes disease, a pathogenic organism, an infectious microorganism, a bacterium, a virus, an agent which causes disease by infection, opposed to the zymogen. Why did that move like that? That was really strange. The spelling pathogen is now archaic. Any organism or substance, especially a microorganism, capable of causing disease such as a bacteria, virus, protozoa, or fungi. Microorganisms are not considered to be pathogenic until they have reached a population size that is large enough to cause a disease. Hello, Danny. Love it, Tony. Okay, so we got that. We're going to put this on me. We're going to go back to reading this right. Not that right there, but this right here, the black goo. The engineer drank a drop of the pathogen, and he quickly began to dissolve, falling into the waters of a river and causing new life to emerge, either immediately or during a longer period. The planet this happened on was presumably Earth. So the engineers seeded new life with the pathogen. Why did they use Earth? In Alien Covenant, David unleashed a big payload of the black goo pathogen on an engineer city. As in Prometheus, the engineers dissolved, but perhaps in a more violent way. The pathogen presumably wiped out all wildlife on the planet and was meant to be used as a weapon. Oh, wow. I don't know if you want to watch this because it's kind of scary. It had various effects on the humans as well, presumably due to the amount of the pathogen the human was exposed to. Charlie was exposed to a drop and took about a day to show the symptoms, including growing small worms in his eyes. He regained his humanity until the end and was content being burned alive by a flamethrower. You all, this is kind of graphic. Oh, wow. Feifel, the geologist, dived headfirst into the pathogen and started mutating faster than Holloway. His elongated head, his head was elongated and he turned into a mindless zombie. Well, that sounds like the zombie apocalypse. It does. With the goo, just one single drop, it was in his head. Wow, he turned into a mindless zombie, attacking the crew of the Prometheus soon after, and the threat was removed by using a flamethrower. Then you got a mutated predator. The Fire and Stone comic series answered the question, interesting, of what would happen to a predator if it was infected with the black goo. Why do they even entertain thoughts like that, you all? Just think about it. Why would they ask that about a predator if it was infected with the black goo? In a big brawl of predators, the xenomorphs on a spaceship, a predator hunter was bitten in the arm by the black goo-infested android, Eldon. He then retreated from the battle and started to transform in a few minutes. The mutated predator expanded in size and grew a new arm on his shoulder and doubled the amount of tusks in his mouth. Like an infected human, he too became a mindless zombie with enhanced strength, attacking anything in sight, including his own comrades. Oh, wow. You know, this is kind of a little bit wild. It is. I never heard of this stuff. This is the mutated android. Why have they got this stuff? In Prometheus, it seemed that the black goo would not react with the androids, as was the case with David, who held a drop of black goo on his finger. However, this was not the case in Fire and Stone, which featured a fully mutated android named Eldon. Eldon was injected with the black goo into his arm by a fellow scientist who wanted to test the effects of the pathogen curing cancer. And he started changing immediately and went through several stages of mutation, having his skin turning white and red stripes. That is wild. And he grew 2 extra arms on his back, and he seemed to retain most of his consciousness, but he became more violent and cynical in the process. After feeling betrayed by the humans, he found companions in the xenomorphs who did not attack him and even followed him around during his misadventures. Gina, honey, you're reading make-believe stuff. This is even worse. A mutated worm. As the black goo seems to transform everything it touches, the hamperpede worm from Prometheus, I would not want that in my body, was most likely the result of another mutation. A catastrophic mutating event will strike the Earth in 2 years. That was in January of 2023, and it came out of the WEF. Now, they may mean cyber, but you never know. It's possible that the small worms from the feet of the crew of the Prometheus were transferred to the ample chamber and reacted to the pathogen. The resulting creature was a prototype face hugger with white skin and acid for blood. It had good reason to attack people. Oh, it forced itself inside his mouth. And this did not cause a new creature to be born, as one might expect. You would not want that in your mouth. It'd be kind of gross. It kind of looks gross. It looks really gross. The trial bite. Did not Star Trek have something like this in it, you all? This being right here, one of the Star Trek series. I can't remember if it had anything like that. Yeah. Hello there in Florida. The trilobite and the deacon probably had the most complex life cycle in the Alien franchise. What if all this is real? Really, what if it is and they put it in a movie to make us think that it was make-believe? But what if they've done all of this stuff? Or it does happen and these creatures start showing up everywhere. That could happen. It really could happen. It started with the black goo. As mentioned, Charlie Holloway was infected with a drop of black goo by David to experiment on its effects. He then had sex with Dr. Shaw, who in turn was infected, but in a different way. Then Dr. Shaw had the trilobite creature, cut out of her by the auto dock. The creature grew rapidly, and let's see, they misspelled that word. The creature grew rapidly and attacked an engineer who had come to kill them and overwhelmed. The trilobite hugged him in a big embrace, infecting him with the deacon creature. Sounds like a demon creature. It does. The deacon. Oh! Is that like a praying mantis? Does it look like it? Is that one of those praying mantis creatures, or the mantid? The mantid alien? That's what I'm wondering. The deacon, born from the engineer, that looked like a predator thing. Was quite large from the start and different from the other Chester Buster types. It had sharp-tipped head, bluish skin, and the deacon was left stranded on LV-223 with no other life forms around, although its fate is left open in the movie. Fire and Stone. It's a different alien, Jim. Fire and Stone series did offer some hints of its whereabouts. Perhaps the deacon transforming into an organic mountain due to the effects. If it's an organic mountain, Would it be a living mountain? Or the black goo contagion? It could be. It could. The Alien movie. There's all different types. What's this? Mutated plant life. A catastrophic mutating event. When David released the black goo pathogen over the city in Alien Covenant, he killed off the whole engineer population on the planet. However, the pathogen didn't only react with the engineers and wildlife, if there was any, it also mutated the plant life. In various locations around the city, a new type of fungus formed which emitted airborne motes when disturbed. These infected 2 different crew members of the USCSS Covenant, where the basis of the neomorphs. The life cycle was actually more than efficient than the facehuggers, although the xenomorph was probably more perfect creature than a neomorph. Are any of these things in here, these mutated creatures, are they any type of aliens that people have been talking about, like, a type of species already that were in this movie? That's what I'm wondering. If it was, if they are. The series V was a creepy show and you stopped watching it when you saw the eyes changed. Yeah. It's a little wild. They are, Jim. There's real alien creatures look like that. Frank, honey, I don't know if that would... That might do it. That'll do me. That's what he said when they took the sword and sliced his stomach in the Lord of the Ring. That'll do me. The big orc. Yeah. The neomorph. I really am wondering if these creatures are real. They were the result of an airborne mote infecting humans with an embryo growing rapidly inside of them. Unlike the xenomorph chest bursters, I guess they're going to burst out of your chest. That would be a horrific thing. The process seemed to affect the host more, them feeling and looking worse by the minute. The neomorph young did not erupt from the chest, but either from the back or from the mouth of the victim. The neomorph grew rapidly and was aggressive from the start and became deadly in seconds, using its mouth and claws to attack the body snatchers. There have been only 2 known neomorphs from Planet 4, and one of them surprisingly survived. The original fate of the second neomorph was to fight with protomorph and lose, but this was cut from the movie. Wonder why. Mutated fish. That looks like, those look like ancient fish. Prehistoric fish. Do they not look like prehistoric fish with their big teeth? It really kind of does. If you look at some of the pictures, it kind of like, erg. After the USCSS Prometheus smashed into the Juggernaut ship, it crashed the surface and started leaking the black goo pathogen. During several decades, this transformed LV, the Anunnaki, came from the sea. It transformed into a lush world of jungles and wildlife, at least in the area of the crashed ships. In Prometheus, Fire and Stone, a research and recovery vessel named Gurion visited the planet and encountered the strange phenomenon. Small bodies of water on the surface became home for the double-mouthed fish, resembling the deacon mixed with a shark, aggressive, and they tried to eat the crew. Look at that. Why would they have comics like this? Think about it. Where did they even dream up things like this? Kurt Russell, they were in Siberia. A bizarre turn of events of aliens, Fire and Stone. 6 colonists escaped, and they did have to deal with the black goo leaking from the engineered Juggernaut and brought the aliens with them in a cargo container, you all. Let's hope that they don't bring down some aliens in from orbit in containers. They probably already did it. Look at that. Its mobility. It was able to leap around with a fat colonist piggybacking. That, what is that? A pathogen creature. This is a movie, but what if it's real? Regular xenomorphs. Look, alien. This is all about the aliens right here. Gina, honey, you're supposed to be talking about the black goo, and you got stuck on this movie. I did. I got stuck on the movie. But they got this stuff leaking out of their eyes. You can see it. In their mouth. They got, what on earth? Stuff of dreams? Do you think this black goo like stuff is floating in the sky? Like above the clouds? Because there's like black tarry looking strips. There really are. In at times way above the clouds. You can see them on the Subaru telescope. You can. And then this one right here. What is the black goo? And that was on Star Trek. Now, we did a video on that. Look. Black goo in the Indian River Lagoon. Do you think that's oil? Atari substance? You think it's sewer? What's he's got his hands in its hands, you all? Can you see that? Black goo in the Indian River AI. Indian River Lagoon. Black goo. Black goo. Indian River Lagoon. Well, we know that it causes a lot of, okay, you all, we got it. A lot of mutating things happening. Why you should eat this ancient black goo? They want you to eat it. Let's see what it is, you all. A health nut. Black goo called shilajit. Fossilized bat yucky. I've heard of people doing that. No. Do you think that's really that? It's India. It's the destroyer of weakness, and it's the best carriers of energy. And no, why would it be in the river? Why would it be in the river? Oh, that's not it. That is not it. No, this ain't the one they're talking about. They're talking about this right here, but it's a okay. It look at this. Mysterious black goo rains down on suburban Michigan. So let me see if I can like copy that right there. See if I can copy this and open this up in another window. Black goo raining down in Michigan. Let me do this. I'm gonna do this right here. See if we can get it. Cause from the Michigan sky, black rain. No, see, this has got all this. This is what it looks like. Harrison Township, tar-like substance. Where is that coming from? A negative energy indeed. Look at that. A tar-like substance coats the homes in the neighborhood. I know it's not fungus from the spores from a mushroom. Let's look at this, you all. This is kind of strange. He caught it Okay, fine. I don't have any privacy anymore. The mysterious black goo rains from the Michigan sky, and he's got it in here. You're from that area, Jim Davidson? Did you hear about it? He holds a pill container of black residue scraped off his Dodge Ram in the Harrison Township, Michigan. The Detroit suburb continued to search for the origin of a black oily substance that rained down on their homes, their cars, and their sidewalks. You think it was a flock of geese? That would be a ton of it to do a whole entire neighborhood. The Macomb Daily Mount Clemens reports gunk was found Sunday in parts of the county's township after falling from above. They were told that the tar-like substance doesn't appear to be harmful. It appears to have fallen straight down. They said they first thought it was from the birds, but it appeared too oily. It covered his pickup and dotted his driveway. He suspects it was from an aircraft, and it affected an area near Selfridge Air National Guard Base. The base said there was no evidence of the substance that came from a military craft. They know where it came from. They're bound to know. Okay, that was that one, you all. I think it came from those black tarry clouds that are up there in the sky. It's not mowed. It rained on their cars. It appeared in 6 driveways. And how can it remain a mystery if they got their microscopes and stuff? Why can't they get samples of this black tar stuff? If they know what it is, they don't want to say. 6 driveways. There's his truck. There's no follow-up. It's not bird droppings. It could be, the major concern, it could be potentially harmful. Nobody knows. It don't appear to be a fuel substance. It could be at least a week before they discover what the substance is. They probably never did say what it was. They probably didn't say at all. So we've got that thing, this tarry-like substance. I'm going to close that out because we're looking at this thing right here, and it's got this black goo. The black. No, we don't want to listen to that, you all. We do not. What is that? Sentient black goo. Well, we want to look at the sentient black goo found in Rio waterways. Warns Olympians to steer if it is a sentient. What does that mean? Gina, honey, you got to push the screen so we can see what you're looking at. Sorry. Sorry. A sentient black goo. So we know what sentient is. S-E-N-T-I-E-N-T. It is having a conscious, experiencing a sensation or feeling, having a faculty, sensation. A sentience is a capacity of being able to experience stuff. Okay, it has a consciousness. Look like a cat right there. Well, that's like the thing in Star Trek. Where was the thing in Star Trek? Because we saw the black goo guy on here somewhere in the Star Trek thing. I don't know where he went, but we saw him in the Star Trek. So let's click into that. I want to see what it says about the black goo. Rio de Janeiro. When is this article written? Stunning turn of events. A sentient mass of black goo that slithered its way out of the Guanabara Bay crawled up on the podium, addressed the Olympic athletes, and warned them not to partake. You all, is this a joke? Do you think that's a joke? Because that's not nice. They're trying to make fun of it. Bubbling and oozing mess grasped the microphone with a jelly-like tendril and said it was an out of a horror. The class athletes were being subjected to such conditions. Unless you actually go swimming in that mess, then it might get in your hair. I'm kidding. Look, I don't know if this is fake. It's not a joke. It isn't, Jim. Unless you actually go swimming in that mess, then might get in your hair. I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that. But I need to get serious for just one moment. Sources confirm the goo then I got to read the whole article, you all. I thought this was a joke because it sounds really strange. And I do believe in sentient beings. I really do. And they had it in the Star Trek. So I'm going to read it from the very beginning. It was found in Rio waterways. It warns the Olympians to steer clear. Okay. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. In a stunning turn of events, a sentient mass of black goo that slithered its way out of the Guanabara Bay and crawled up on a podium and addressed the Olympic athletes and warned them not to partake in this year's game if they value their own safety. Bubbling, oozing mess grasped the microphone with a jelly-like tendril and said it was an out and out horror that the world-class athletes were being subjected to such conditions. Hi, how is everybody tonight? Just a quick word before the games begin, and I promise I'll be out of everyone's hair and be back into the murky depths whence I came from. The goo burbled in front of a large contingency of reporters. Unless you actually go swimming in that mess, then I actually might get in your hair. I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that. But I need to get serious for just a minute. Sources confirm that the goo, is this where we're at right here? The goo then shifted its gelatinous frame closer to the microphone and addressed the assembled crowd. Yeah. You do not want to step foot in the water this year. No bueno, muy malo. If you catch my drift, Zika virus, rotavirus, yeah, child's play to what you encounter in there. The stuff will mess you up. The horrifying visions of a man's folly said. Scarier stuff in there than me. If you can believe that, just the other day I saw a freaking strain of bacteria that came down for the chrome. See, they're trying to say it. The blob said, jumping off the podium with a sickening splat. At press time, the goo was mugged and beaten. You all, was that a joke? Is this a joke? Because I don't know what it is. I can't tell if it's a joke, but I would believe if it was something that would talk. I would believe it. That it talked in the Star Trek. Oh, I thought that was Rosie up here. It talked in the Star Trek movie. What is this? Thanksgiving. This just in. CNN. What is that? It's forbidden. We can't go there. We cannot go there. It's gone. Do you think that was real? This black goo that got all over everything. It was a CNN blog. Okay. So the black goo, let's just say this, the black goo and the real substance. Okay, we got it. So we've got the real, and the substance really is supposed to be something like that. It is. I just need to find it. Follow it. Have you all saw that? It's kind of like a spiky bug. What is that? Transhumanism Morgellons Archons, AI Black Goo Healing. Oh, okay, we got it. Look at this. No, it's just got all this other stuff on it, you all. It does. The real, it's a substance. These faces. What is it? Yeah, we don't want to look at that, you all. We do not, but I do remember reading about the vril. The vril is a substance. If I could find it, and I'm not going to be able to find it. I'm not. Y'all off the hook. It's 9:05, and I need to. Real is a substance. If we can find it, this is the superior race. Right there. The coming of the real. The coming, yeah. It is a superior subterranean master race. Subterranean means what? Let's look up the word subterranean. Subterranean. Gina, honey. Subterranean. I would like to have the definition of it. Just to have it up here. Definition. Okay, it's situated or operating beneath the Earth's surface, underground, hidden, secret, being or lying under the surface of the Earth, situated within the Earth or underground. So we have a subterranean race of beings, which is the real. It's a book, you all. It's been out and it's been written so many times, so many different covers. The Power of the Coming Race, originally published simply as The Coming Race. It's a novel by this person, published anonymously in 1871, and some readers believe that the account of the superior subterranean master race, which is underground inside the earth, and the energy of the real, which is right here, their energy. What happened to it? The energy form called the real. It's an energy form, and I'm pretty sure it's black. Is it black? The energy form. It's a life force, and that's what gets into the people. Okay, look at so the real is not a material substance, but a form of energy. Okay. A very subtle nature, filling a space in the scale between the matter and the mind. It's being in a way associated with both. Therefore, it's not unreasonable to suppose that the mind may exercise an effect in its absorption. It's well known. It's a healing substance. The uses of the vril amongst the vril ya vary from an agent of destruction to a healing substance. The vril ya are a race of beings described in the novel The Coming of the Power. And the black, they get this stuff get in their eye, you all. I would hope not. I really would hope not. The movie The Time Machine, where the people went underground and they, oh, that's gross. Janice, honey. So we're supposed to be talking about the black goo. And there is black goo, and here's this life form right here on the Star Trek. It's a sentient-like being. And I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that it's really, some people probably got some black goo in their body. Is the black goo, Gina, you're going to get yourself in trouble. Is the black goo, just let me say it, is the black goo graphene? I didn't say nothing about it. Okay, I didn't. The substance ruling the world. Black goo graphene oxide. Known as graphene oxide, a poisonous substance that has flown under the radar for 160 years. The biggest threat to humanity is the black goo. Oh, wasn't the graphene the thing that was able to move around? The Archons, AI and NASA's deep dark secret. The graphene oxide, otherwise known as the black goo. It accumulated in the lungs. You all, Gina, don't you read it. I'm researching. The graphene oxide accumulated in the lungs generates bilateral pneumonias by uniform dissemination in the pulmonary alveolar tract. The graphene oxide causes a metallic taste. Perhaps this is starting to make sense to you now. Inhaled graphene oxide causes inflammation of the mucous membranes and thus the loss of taste or partial or total loss of smell. Oh no. Look at these images of it. And there we got Prometheus. He is the reason for it all. And they found it in the caskets of the Egyptians. Oh my goodness gracious. It's in your food. Well, I don't want it in my food. Oh, it would be very disgusting if it was. Now, this is what I'm thinking about. The Egyptian. We got to go to the museum, you all. Okay, I'll allow it. They went to the ancient Egyptian coffins and the mystery of the black goo, see? Several ancient Egyptian coffins and mummy cases have been found covered in the mysterious black goo. But was that graphene oxide? They explore what the goo is made from, why it may have been used, and what it can reveal about the funerary practice. Oh my goodness. So we got to read this. Deja Konashu, a F. Inc., lived and died 3,000 years ago in ancient Egypt, and we don't know a lot about his life. Why does it got Ankh on the end? But we do know he was a priest in the temple of Amun at Karnak. Here he had two main roles. One was the opener of doors of heaven, which meant he was one of the priests who was entitled to open the doors of the shrine in the temple sanctuary containing the cult image of the god. After he died, he was mummified. He was wrapped in fine linen and sewn into his plaster and linen mummy case. This case was beautifully painted in bright colors and gilded with gold leaf over the face. At the time of his funeral, he was lowered into his coffin and carried to his tomb. Then several liters of warm black goo were poured all over the mummy's case, covering it completely, effectively cementing the case into the coffin. The lid was then placed on the coffin, and he was left to journey forth into the underworld. The Dejokshu Ankh was not unique. Though not used by everyone, there was a number of instances of this black goo being used in the Egyptian burials. But what is it? And if we find out what it was made from, can we learn more about why the Egyptians used it? It looks like paint, looked like tar. They're covered in the black goo. You ain't scared of no goo. Look at that. We're going to look at the writing. There are many texts that deal with the spiritual preparations for death in ancient Egypt, but very few deal with the practical aspects. Knowledge about the practices around the mummification and burial appear to be restricted. So one of the best ways to learn more about this black goo is to chemically analyze it to find out what it is. We can do this in our science labs hidden underground in the museum. What is that black goo? The British Museum. Experts have analyzed more than 100 samples of the black goo from 12 coffins and mummy cases, all dating to the 22nd dynasty in the third intermediate period of 900 to 700 BC. To do this, we take tiny samples and conduct a form of chemical analysis called gas chromatography, mass spectrometry. This involves vaporizing each sample and pushing it through a long tube which separates the molecules in the sample. At the end of the tube, the molecules will go into a mass spectrometer, which separates them according to their mass to charge ratio. From this, we can tell what the molecules are present and what quantities they're in. Look at her doing it. She's performing the experiment. You got the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Analysis of the black goo samples in the laboratories at the British Museum. Why did they want the black goo? They liked the black goo. What they discovered with this black goo, it's made of a combination of plant oil, animal fat, tree resin, beeswax, and bitumen, which is a solid crude oil. The exact ingredients vary from one coffin to the next, but the goo is always made from some of these ingredients. It is possible that there was other ingredients as well that we can no longer detect because they were volatile and evaporated, or they have degraded to undetectable levels over 3,000 years since the goo was applied. Do you think that that's truly what they found? Is what they said right there just some plant oil, animal fat, tree resin, beeswax, bitumen, and crude oil? Maybe. Where did the ingredients come from and how were they sourced? They identified only natural ones occur outside of Egypt and indicating that they were imported. You hear me fine? The two tree resins were found in black goo are pistachia tree resin and conifer tree resin. The tree resin is a liquid that trees produce in the response to injury, which hardens to a brittle solid. The Mediterranean conifer resin. So this is the black goo, you all, right here. What is it used for and why? Look at that. You can see it. When someone died, they said they were to become a form of the god Osiris, who associated with the death and the rebirth, and Osiris was the black one in the various funerary texts. Look at that. Seated wooden figure. But is that the same as the is that the same as this right here? The black goo graphene agenda that's been planned for years? Is it? Or is it something totally different, you all? What's the more results? I think this needs to be fact-checked. They need to fact-check the black goo, the graphene oxide. Why do they gotta put the two hand in hand? What on earth is this? The black goo graphene iron oxide. How did iron oxide get into it? Modified by purple UV lights and zombie demonic possession. Horrifying graphene's unholy abilities. The purple lights. Cash at me, Venmo, PayPal, donate. Well, that was a lot of words and a lot of adjectives in this one sentence. Black goo, graphene, iron oxide, modified, purple UV lights, and zombie demonic possession, horrifying graphene's unholy abilities. Oh, wow. Black goo. The craze fouls, the COVID mRNA, and our graphene oxide found in this black goo oozing all over the past decades. The Saturn time cube. Is there really a Saturn time cube? Look. Purple rain and Prince. Hedera with the purple. Purple violet is known to be the color of ray emitted by Saturn. Is it true? Is it? Is purple? I'm going to copy that. to see if that is the color that is emitted by Saturn. I'm going to check it out. Yep. How come? How can that be? The violet has the shortest wavelength of around 380 nanometers, and red has the longest wavelength at around 700 nanometers. Isaac Newton, 1665, his books didn't get burnt up, showed that a prism bends visible light and that each color reacts at a certain slightly different angle. Shades of violet. Electromagnetic spectrum. Flash guards. I thought we saw Saturn. Let me look at that. You think that's Saturn's rings? No, that's a Cassini orbiter. Mapping. Let's see, NASA honey. What do you got to say about it? The visible and infrared mapping spectrometer with the Cassini. The false color composite image constructed from the NASA data. The glow of auroras streaking out 1,000 kilometers, 600 miles from the cloud tops of Saturn's south polar region. It is among the first images released from a study that identifies images showing auroral emissions out of the entire catalog of images taken by the Cassini's visual and infrared mapping spectrometer. That is really neat. It's really neat. How it worked. They collected both light and visible, both light that is visible to humans and infrared light at slightly longer wavelengths, and separated the light into the various wavelengths so the scientists could learn about the composition of materials. Wow. The near-infrared color image, the specular reflection of sunlight with hydrocarbon. Oh. So there it is, Saturn. It's purple like a hydrocarbon lake. I think we should just stop with that. Stop with this right here, you all. Let's stop with this Saturn, and I'm going to end the video. I think that's a pretty place to stop. There's something to that black goo. It is. And they found it in the coffins and stuff like that, and talking about the graphene oxide and the vril and stuff getting in people's eyes and things. It's and the black goo thing on the Star Trek. There's a lot of stuff going on. There really is. Jupiter's rings are disappearing, and the scientists don't know why. That's right. That's right. So I am going to go, you all. Yeah, it's a long video. It's a little bit too long, Gina. That's why people don't want to watch your videos, because you make too long of a video. Sorry. Sometimes I do. So thank you all for listening. And with that being said, hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello. From my heart to yours, love you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. And hit that subscribe button. And thank you to those who have joined this channel. And give this video a thumbs up. Go back and give all the videos a thumbs up like that. You ought to be great. Because this channel's being shadow banned. It is, and there's really no reason for it, but it is. That's all right. In the big scope of life, we got it, you all. We can do it. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you, moderators, and good night, everyone.